Good afternoon. Welcome to the third session of day 2 of the Zambian Conservation Careers Fair. I have two interesting guests in this session that will talk to us about getting the job and what happens afterwards. Ever thought of what happens after you get the job? And I know a lot of us work very hard. You're applying every day. You're getting feedback. What happens after that? In this session, we get to find out all that. I will let my two guests introduce themselves. Let's start with you, Peter.
Thanks. My full names are Peter Simuliampondo.
Okay.
I'm a senior recruitment consultant at Precision Recruitment International.
Great.
I've been working at PRI for 7 years now,
Okay.
and still going strong.
Oh, wow, 7 years. Let's go to you, Malama.
Hi everyone, my name is Malama Lumbwe. I am a recruitment and labor brokering consultant. I've been working for Precision Recruitment International from 2016, so I've been there for a while as well, but not as much as Peter.
Still a lot of experience on this table.
Exactly.
And speaking of experience on this table, please be sure to ask whatever questions you have about what happens after getting the job. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, please leave them in our comment section, and the two experts will be able to answer the questions later on. I think we can start the ball rolling with something that's pretty basic, but somehow underrated, soft skills. Let's start there. What exactly are they, and how does one go about acquiring these? Because I don't think there is an institution you can go and say, I want to learn, I want to learn how to be friendly or how to talk to people better somehow.
Okay, so I'll start the get the ship sailing. So soft skills are very simple. I'm not going to complicate anything. They are just your personal attributes or habits that shape how you work. Full stop. So then makes you kind of think, oh my God, what are my habits? So for example, myself, I'm a team player. Very simple. It's easy for me because I'm a very bubbly person. So I work really well in team-oriented kind of spaces. So that's a type of an example of a soft skill. Another thing would be communication skills. Another thing would be punctuality. So habits, again, habits. So if you're someone who's late, you better check yourself, because that's not a soft skill you want to be carrying around with yourself.
Definitely not.
So those are the types of soft skills. So how do you, like you said, you can't go to university and just wake up and have these soft skills. You first, obviously, with myself, I have to sit myself down and say, okay, what do I want out of my life? What habits can I form in my everyday life that set me up for success? For example, I'm a morning person. I know not everyone is a morning person, but for me, I'm up by 4:30. I take time to pray. I go to the gym. I work out. I make sure I'm in the office by 7:30, which is the time we start.
Even after doing all that?
Yep. Wow.
Starts early.
So I mean, even just that already sets me up to get to work on time, to be in the working out. Obviously, there's a direct relationship between your emotions and your workout. If you work out, it pumps you up. You're like, let's go. I'm ready to get this day sorted. Exactly. So now imagine if you wake up, you start work at 7:30 and I wake up 7:30. Can you just imagine the kafwafwa that will be there by the time I get to the office at 7:30? So I mean, I think that's just a general summary of soft skills. So it's soft skills are your personal habits that shape how you work.
Okay. I really want to dwell on the time management one that you brought up, because I feel like it's not something that a lot of people, it's something that we can see as quite a concern, especially with people running late and, dare I say, the thing called Zambian time.
Exactly.
In the workplace, what has been your experience with time management?
I'm going to start from the beginning, but not too. Okay, when I just got my first job in Australia, my first job was as a cleaner, and we had to get to the office, to the nursing home by about, I think, 5:50. But everyone else had to get there by 6, which used to agitate me. And I remember I would get there on time, but the other cleaners would get there at 6:15. And see, the interesting thing about that was I didn't even stay long as a cleaner. 2 months later, I kid you not, I got promoted to the kitchen washing dishes, which is by far better than sweeping the ground. So, I mean, never take it lightly, because number one, I always tell my mentees, it's very important how you show up. And showing up starts from what time you get there. If someone says 8, well, it'll be good if you get there 8:50. Even better if you get there at 7:50 or 7:45. But it doesn't matter, even if it's 1 minute. It always kind of makes you, the other person waiting for you, gonna go, well, I mean, you're still late. We agreed 8. So time is very essential. first, it's part of the First Impressions Act.
Big.
If you come
Yes.
late,
Big.
Yes.
chapwa.
So I have an add-on on that.
Yes.
We've had instances in the past where a candidate's going for an interview, and we communicate, like we're the middleman in this. So you've got the candidate, you've got the client. So we set up interviews and everything. Would confirm, okay, your interview's starting at 9 o'clock. And they would wait sometimes. They're in traffic. They're late. Instead of at least updating us, then we could update the client. Say,
Yes.
okay, they're running a bit late. Maybe they got held up or something happened. They would wait. They're late. Then they reach there like, oh, just reach now. Like, what happened? First of all, you're not supposed to be late.
Exactly.
Secondly, you could have communicated.
Yes.
Now the client is waiting for you. You're going to go in there nervous, already with a bad first impression.
Yes.
So that never works. And I know, yes, Zambian time thing
It needs to end, guys.
has been said,
It
and
really
it's
does.
It needs
I know,
to end.
It's like really
Unacceptable.
bad. It's really bad, and I think it's partly what's making our country seem slow.
Yeah.
And we've had this as well from people from different countries that come to work here. The first thing they'll say is like, Zambians seem a
Timing.
bit over relaxed.
Yeah.
They take things very slow. Come late and do this. Oh, let me just do this first and that. Like everything is almost casual.
Yeah.
So that urgency is not there, and that's really important, and that's one of the big traits of showing an impression of success.
Well, you heard it here. Get there in good time and communicate. I really like that you put those two together because sometimes there's certain things you can't avoid, and
Exactly.
it's understandable. But if you communicate, it helps the other people prepare.
No.
Also, if you get there in good time, it gives you time to prepare. So, time management is a big deal in forming your career and going ahead. Obviously, I will switch to you, Peter, and talk about basic writing skills and getting the job or after getting the job.
Okay.
What exactly should I focus on? So I've got the job. I worked really hard. I constantly applied. I finally got the job. What am I focusing on now? I know one of the things that a lot of people have emphasized on, even in the last session, was you need to have, decent writing at least.
Definitely.
Oh, you can do a little bit more better. You can do better by investing in yourself, but decent writing. Let's hear what you have to say, and you can tell us a bit of stories and what you've experienced with this.
Okay, so start from the writing part. I know you did say got the job, but start from the writing part.
Yes.
So obviously, you're going to send your CV, you're going to send an application letter to the potential employer. So what a lot of candidates need to remember is when you send that, you're not going to be there in person to give them that. So the first impression they're going to get of you, even before they meet you face to face, is that document you sent them.
Yep.
How you send it matters. We would sometimes put adverts out, and you get a CV. They do not even indicate what they're applying for in the subject. They just send a CV, and you just. Luckily, we open because we're a recruitment consultant, so we just want to see what's there. Would open, but that's a very bad way of doing it.
Yeah.
Send your CV, application attached. Indicate subject heading. What is it about? Greeting in the body of the email. Kind regards. Sign out. It has to be at least minimum of that. Because you have to remember an HR manager's in the office, busy, doing other things. This a random email comes in, doesn't indicate anything, and he's looking like, okay, you might just skip it and see the other email, which is above yours, which has actually got a subject heading. So that's very important.
Okay.
Coming into the CV now and the application letter, candidates should always try to make sure that they read through and everything is in order, as my colleague Emma said yesterday. Contact details, all the information. Again, this is very big on the way they sell themselves because, again, the employer is looking at the CV without you to explain, to say, oh, that
That was
year.
a typo I meant to write.
Yeah, I meant to say this. And worst off, some would send without a date, or they would say a date, maybe, let's say, going in this order from maybe, say, 1999 to 2005, 2006, and then you expect them to carry on going that way, and it goes back, they'll add again, maybe 2003, 2004, and you're like, okay, why is this date here not in consistency with other dates, and what happened here? So I always try to guide them when we meet them for a pre-screen, like it has to be in order. You don't want to lose the HR manager who's going through your CV. You want them to go through your CV without you explaining to them like, oh, I meant to say that there and that there. They need to be able to look at your CV and know this is what they're talking about, this is where they started, this is where they are to date, and that's where they're going. As well, try and add a bit of more detailed information to your CV, responsibilities, and that kind of thing. So they can know, for instance, okay, Mina is working for the conservation. Is she supervising anyone there?
Yes.
Does she have a team of how many? All these little things which you can indicate, which a lot of people forget to add, tells the employer exactly how much capability you've got. So when they see these small things, manager, don't just say I'm a manager. I'm a manager, I'm managing a team of this much. If it's you're in charge of a storehouse or a store, a store this big, this square meters, a team of this many, and that items in the shop of approximately 2,000. This already paints the picture in the one who's looking at your CV. And before meeting you, they already know, okay, this one's at that level. You're coming in now for the interview, that's a different thing altogether, but they've already got a good idea of what you are. Now they're just basically trying to match that with the person. So now I'm going to jump a bit.
Yes,
now you've got the job.
Yes,
So
got the job.
Yeah, so let's say, oh, that was good. You've got the job, you start. A good thing to have in mind is your goals. A good thing to have in mind is your goals. So this is then before you get the job, have your goals in mind. I like the way Malama said, she over there started as a cleaner, she rose up. If she's explaining that to me, that already tells me that she's ambitious. Someone else might just think like, oh, maybe she was lucky, but no, that already tells me. So when I meet a candidate, they talk like that, it already tells me they're ambitious. And they've got drive, they know where they're going, they want something more than what they already have. So when you've got a goal, you've got a direction, you've got a guide, you're going with that. So you have your long-term goal, and you've got your short-term goals to guide you step by step to reach your long-term goal. When that's in place, it's going to guide you. Even if you move from one company to the other, those goals are going to guide you.
Well said.
Unfortunately, we get some candidates who'd say, I saw an advert for this role. Maybe they're finance, and they just see a random advert for maybe an admin, and they just think, okay, you know what, here, I'm an assistant accountant, that one says admin manager. And that's even closer. You've got some very different type of roles, and they'll say, no, I want to apply for that as well. I know I can do the job. Like, yes, you can do it, but it's not really in lines. So we even have to guide them sometimes. Like, it's not really in lines with what you studied, and it's not really in lines with what you're aiming for. So you can't just get one job just because you think, oh, it's going to pay more money, and then you get the job. Then what happens next? Before you know it, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to have a bad attitude. You won't want to do your work. You just be reaching work to sit on a chair and show you're at work, but you're not doing your work. That's not important. I love the way Steve Jobs said it. Get a job you love. I think it was Steve Jobs. Get a job you love, and that way you're going to do it with passion. Yeah, never work a day. So when you do that, that goes back to your goals. You've got your goals. Now you know even where you're applying for. You apply for a company, you get the job, you know you're going with that flow. Systematic, you're enthusiastic. People want to work with you. Promotions from there come easier because now you're putting in 100%.
Exactly.
Your seniors are seeing that.
Exactly.
Before you know it, promotion is in line, they'll consider you first. With a bad attitude, no goals, you just go any which way. Any which way. So that's the first step. Set your goals, go with that. 10 years, 15 years, you know which direction you're going. Much easier, much easier than you just saying, oh, I want to get a job. And I do understand where some candidates come from because some of them after school, the main thing is they want to start working. So they're just like, okay, whatever comes, I'm open, I'm keen. I'm keen. And yes, that is okay for you to gain experience from the beginning, from any which way you can. But you always have to have the goal in place. So even if you start somewhere, which is not directly where you would want to be, always have the goal in your mind. So as soon as that opportunity comes, you go with it and you grow with that. That's the easiest way to build up in your career.
Okay, I love that you say to always have a goal, but I will ask from a perspective of someone that, well, I just got this job also, and I'm trying to navigate and learn more about it. Maybe this is an entry level. Do I always have to have a goal? What happens if I don't really know what I want to do, which I think has been the case for most people. You know you want to do something, but you don't know what it is.
Exactly.
How do I go about this? How do I begin to set goals if I don't even know what I want to do?
Okay. So a good way to add that is you could do some research.
Yes.
One, when you join any company, you're going to have some seniors there. So yes, they might be busy most of the time. She talked about mentoring as well. She mentors some girls, and she's got mentors as well. When you've got someone that you can look up to and ask some advice, see which direction it's going, that way you can also know the career path and this job you've got. So let's say you just got it randomly, unexpectedly rather. And now you're thinking, okay, I want to do a great job. I don't even know where to start, but you're in the job. So a good way is to get some guidance, do as much research as you can. That way you're knowing which way you're going to go. So this can even help you create a goal now. When you're researching, you're going to find out more about how the company works, how this position, the growth pattern is for this position, where you can be in the next 5 years, how long it's going to take you to reach manager level, for instance, what qualifications and skills you need to get that top job, to get that promotion. Because, again, in a company, there may be a promotion, but you do not have sufficient qualifications. Maybe you've got a certificate in a course, and they're looking for a degree for you to get that particular role advertised. So with all your research done, this will guide you and show you what you need to get to that level. So research is a good thing. So even if you got the job, always try to research, always try to keep up to date, always try to look at what's new and how you could improve yourself.
Okay. agree with what you've said. I have benefited from researching what my job is about and where I can go from here. It seems something that, well, a lot of people wouldn't take it as seriously, but if you don't know what you're doing, figure out where you're at now, what your job involves, where somebody in your position has gone, how far they've gone. It really, really does help. If you're just joining us now, please be sure to share this video and invite your friends to like and comment the questions that you have for our two experts today. I'll take you back to...
Sorry, I just want to add on to what Peter just said.
Sure thing.
When I came back from uni, I studied economics and finance. And I remember my parents were like, oh, not my parents, my dad particularly. Dad, yes, I am telling on you because you're the one. He was, no, I want you to work in a bank, in a bank, in a bank. And I remember thinking, it's not, I mean, qualification-wise, obviously, but there's also my personality, intellectual self that also drives me. So then when I met the previous country manager, Roseanne Thorne, and she met, I didn't even know I was going for an interview that day. It's a long story. We'll get into another day. But then she was pitching being a recruiter. And she said, when she started out, I was thinking to myself, again, just like anybody else who gets a job and you're like, I didn't expect this. So I sat in the office. She's like, no, we're going to get you started as a researcher first so you can understand who Precision Recruitment International is, what we do, how we move on from each level to each level. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, that's not bad. I mean, at least I'm starting somewhere. So I remember I started and I sat myself down. I'm like, okay, as I always put in I try and put in 100% in everything I do. Clearly. Sat myself down. I'm like, where do I see myself going in the next year? How am I going to get there? etc. etc. So I was just pretty much just trying to go into so now eventually I started getting to know how Precision works, the clients, the candidates, how they're the core business of who a recruitment agency is, how a consultant grows their client base. And obviously Mr. Peter here was my mentor. Yes, Mr. Mentor. So he was a really good mentor as well. So it really helped me grow. And I remember thinking, okay, 2 years after then I moved from being a researcher to now just a full recruitment consultant. I sat back and I was like, I actually like being a recruitment consultant. Now how am I going to get myself onto the next level? Which for me now was labor brokering, and Precision at the time wasn't doing any labor brokering. So I literally stuck to our previous country manager, like literally hip to hip, trying to figure out how can I be a recruitment labor brokering consultant. And then she taught me, and now I am the labor brokering consultant at PRI, which is kind of cool.
Well done.
So thank you.
Yes, well done.
So I mean, just trying to go into what Peter said, that I am a proper example of, okay, I got the job, now what?
Exactly.
So given, you're not going to like it the moment you start, but once you understand it, and you're like, and like I said, I'm more personality over brain per se. I love being able to meet new people, change people's lives by connecting them to this wonderful client, meeting this candidate. Even if I just gave him tips on can you correct the font size, or don't put a picture like this on your CV. It helps, and people kind of, oh wow, this is so cool. Nobody's ever given me advice. For me, I then discovered I actually love doing this, and I think I'm going to do it for the rest of my life.
Oh, wow.
So I found my niche.
Unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly.
To quote Drake, started from the bottom, now you're here. Which is really a good thing. I feel like this is something that keeps coming up in all these conversations. You need to start somewhere. And earlier, our recent speaker called it the graduate arrogance. So I have a degree. I'm not going to do that. You want me to run errands for you? I'm not going to do that. But start from somewhere. This is a table with people that have great experience, and they started from somewhere. Okay, so I would just take you back a little bit. You mentioned how you send the email, or how you send information across. Well, this is something I think a lot of people have struggled with. I'm interested to know where the line is. How do I not cross the line to communicating to you? How do I put everything in order so it's easier for you to understand? This is my name, this is where I'm from, and this is the experience that I have. On top of that, I will ask, should I apply for a job that is asking for a communications officer if I work in a completely different field, just because I feel like, well, I can do this?
Okay, so to start with that, I'll start from this part where you ended. One, when you're applying for a job, even if you just think like, oh, I think I can do that, but let's say you've got maybe more experience and qualifications in another particular area, always apply for what you're capable of doing, what you've previously done if you've got experience, or even if you're a graduate, apply for what you've actually studied for.
I will stop and ask why.
Because one, this shows that, as I said before, set your goals and everything. So this shows that you know what you're doing. You're not just accidentally saying, oh, I've seen this advert for finance manager and I am a sales officer and I'm applying for that. And you're like, that doesn't work. So you know what you're all about, what you've studied, where you're heading. If you've got experience in sales, for instance, you're heading that direction. You cannot say now today, no, I want to do it. You don't have any qualifications in finance and you see this financial role and you apply just for the sake of applying because you don't have a job. Yes, it is sad not to have a job and obviously it's difficult with this economy and everything, but you have to be realistic to say, if I apply for this job, is that something I can actually do? So let's give an example. You apply for that role, which you do not know how to do, not even a bit, and the company hires you to do that role.
Oh, wow.
How are you going to do it?
We've seen a lot of memes about that.
Yeah,
you lie on
exactly,
your CV.
exactly. You lie, yeah, it's easy to lie, go in there, then they give you the job, and oh, here's an assignment, you handle that. Then what happens next? What happens next? I always advise candidates, honesty is the best.
Yes, it is.
It's the best.
It really
if you can do it, say you can do it. Put it on your CV. If you cannot do it, do not say you can do it. Do not add it to your CV. As simple as that. So that way, when you go to the interview, the employer is interviewing you, and they're getting a true story from you. You're getting a true story from them. Because it would be equivalent of you going to a company and then they tell you, oh, we'll give you this package, we'll give you a company car and that. You go there, they say, actually, we realize we don't have any spare cars to give you. Or we don't have a house to give you. Or we don't have that salary. We said we'll give you 10,000 kwacha, but no, actually we realized that we can only give you maybe 500 kwacha a month. That's equivalent on the other side. So candidates need to remember that you cannot want to go into a company and give them less than what they're requesting for, and then you complain to say, oh, why are they asking for maybe 5 years experience, 10 years experience, where am I supposed to get it from? But you have to start from somewhere. A good way to get that experience might be to volunteer somewhere.
Yes. I was about to say
Volunteer somewhere, you gain more experience, before you know it, the company volunteering at might even hire you themselves, because they say, okay, I've seen a great work ethic here, good attitude, and they could take you on full time. So it's all going stages by stages, but you cannot just say, oh, I've just seen this role and I want to apply for it, when you totally do not match it. It just doesn't work. Exactly, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Okay, so you really need to do your research and make sure this is something that you can do.
Yes.
You can't just find a job and because you're not doing anything, well, I'll apply for that.
Exactly.
I think I can do it. There's a reason why they attach the years of experience that they need and what papers they need you to present, which is something that's very interesting. So we'll start taking questions. We had a few questions from yesterday's session that we can bring to today.
Sure thing.
The first one is, how do you deal with the anxiety and nervousness when it comes to interviews of a job?
Okay.
I'll let you.
This is something I'm sure you've seen a lot. What is your advice on this?
Number one, prepare. You cannot wait, you know you have an interview tomorrow, and you wake up tomorrow and start preparing. It's obviously going to add on to the anxiety. It's like a test.
Late.
You know, you have a test
And be late.
2 weeks, exactly. 2 weeks from now, and you're like, okay, I'll study. It's on Monday, I'll study Sunday. Obviously, it's going to make you have anxiety. So, number one, I know, okay, most of the times given, sometimes you only know today, you have an interview tomorrow. But if they call you now, okay, what's the company name?
Yeah.
What do they do? What position did I apply for? Remind yourself what you don't want to get in there and go, oh, actually, I also did some finance, but you're there for a salesman. People are very ambitious these days. So prepare. So there's a lot of literature on the internet on how to prepare for an interview. Pick out what you're going to wear. Pick out your shoes, your outfit. Make sure it's ironed. If, let's say, for example, you're catching a bus to where you're supposed to go, you know, given Zambian buses are special, but we thank God we do have public. It's functional.
Some form of transport.
It's functional. 2 hours allocate. Okay, my interview is at 9. I'm going to try and leave the house maybe even about 7, eh?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
7.
Always, yeah.
Always have enough time for when the bus decides, when the bus decides to go left inside, some down the valley. That's the only way you're going to conquer the anxiety.
Yeah.
There's no formula or concoction that we can give you. Honestly, prepare. Do what you have to do prior. Know it the day before. Obviously, you will get anxiety. And also, most importantly, which I should have started with, practice. Go on the internet, types of interview questions that interviewers ask.
Yeah.
Practice, at least even if you don't have enough time, 3. And the most common ones, tell us about yourself. That one's also very hard, if I'm being honest. If someone just literally tell me about yourself, you're like, do I start from when I was 1 or do I start from when I was 20? What do you want? So, figure out how to answer that, and also as your strengths and weaknesses, and most importantly, what will you bring to the table? If you can practice those, hey, you nail it.
Great. I feel encouraged, and I think I've picked up the table too from that.
I'd like us to add on to what you said,
Yes,
giving
please.
an example of some candidates that did not prepare.
Oh my word. Okay.
I remember setting a couple of, I say a couple, like definitely more than one, definitely more than 3 of the years. You set up an interview. Next week, this is one particular one. Next week, you're going to interview this company. This time, you're going to meet this person and everything. Next week, Wednesday. Send them an email. After the call, send them an email. All that information included in there. Who they're going to meet, location, and everything else. They call you. One called me back on the day. He's like...
On the day of the interview.
Day of the interview. Not actually, he didn't call me back. The client calls me like, Peter, where's the candidate?
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay. You call the candidate. Where are you? You didn't tell me that it's still on. I thought...
I didn't tell you?
Like, I spoke to you last week. Oh, no, that was last week. So I thought by now it was canceled. Like, did I call you to tell you it's canceled?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Communication.
Exactly. Some others would tell you like 5 minutes before, Peter, I can't find a place. Where is the location again? You're not supposed to call me now to ask that. You're supposed to be there. So all these things, lack of preparation. I remember when I was getting this job at PRI, that was in 2012. I had the location and everything, but I didn't know the physical, I hadn't been there before. So what I did is, my interview was 14 hours, I still remember that. I drove there like around 10. I actually went there.
Wow.
Checked where the place was, just to be sure, like, okay, it's here. Asked, confirmed, this person works here? Like, yes, she does. Okay, is she around now? Not yet. Okay, I'll be back. Went back home, came back. And then that way I'm on time. I know, okay, it's that far, that distance, turn there. Road is good, road is bad. Are there buses if you're using public transport? How far from the bus stop? Not last moment, 2 minutes from the interview, you're asking, but how do I get there? Where's the location? Peter, where's the, like...
It all goes back to be prepared. Manage your time well. It starts with all the soft skills that you have. If this is something you do every day in your life, this shouldn't be any different.
Exactly.
I think a lot of these things actually give people away. I like that you started talking about interview questions, because we have one on how do you answer the question, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? How do I answer that one, guys?
That one also scares me, I won't lie. But you always have to make sure. So, for example, if I was interviewing for a position in Precision Recruitment, I always tell our country manager, I'm coming for your job. Sarah, I'm coming for your job.
That's where I see myself in 5 years.
That's where I see myself in 5 years. So, you have to be very strategic. I mean, okay, I was giving myself an example. PRI sits me down and says, oh, Malama, we're considering you to be the country manager. Well, I'm not going to sit there and be like, you know what, I see myself in 5 years with a competitor recruitment agency, heading the regionals. They'll be like, bye, dude, I think clearly this is not for you.
It's done.
It's done. You have to word it in a way that you're saying, okay, whilst I'm in your company, I am going to grow my soft skills, my hard skills in such a way that overall it's going to add on to the overall working of your company. So I'm going to do all these things that's going to benefit you. So even the person sitting at the other side is like,
I'm hiring
this
you.
person right now. That's how you tackle that question. But like I said, if you simply just type in on Google how to answer it will show you, and then again practice. Just practice on how you go about saying it. So that way, the moment someone asks you, it just comes out effortlessly and naturally.
And it goes back to the goal setting. So basically, the employer is asking you that. They just want to see what your plan is.
Okay.
That's basically it. So they want to see, like, are you here just for this month, this year, and then you're gone? It's just a stepping stone. A lot of employers want to know about that. And a lot of candidates don't realize that employers also come from a place where they have to protect themselves. And they're also just trying to make sure that they get something that's going to be beneficial to the company as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Peter and Malama, for joining us. We've come to the end of our session. Be sure to catch us tomorrow as we start yet another full day of the Conservation Careers Fair.
Thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.